Welcome back to another episode of Lucas, Tigers, and Bronze Oh My. This is going to be different because, for a few reasons. One, it's a holiday episode. Two, I'm recording on my phone. Three, Shana Tova, happy Rosh Hashanah to all of our fans out there practicing. And I got to tell you, it's going to be a fun episode because, for a few reasons here, but because I think Cage is in an interesting mood today. He's fired up. He got the day off. We got a big week coming up. I had a lot of amazing feedback from our collectible episode yesterday and the last 3 weeks because whether you're on the platform or not, there's a lot of kind of the macro analysis that we talk about. And I think the big one, if we just want to kick it off, is about the LBJ cards, LeBron cards, right? You were saying that on that platform, they're trading below IPO. And that's across the board. And what's interesting about LeBron, and you guys know out there, I'm not a huge LeBron homer, but in the next year and a half, he's going to pass Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's points record, Cage. I don't know if you realize that.
If he plays long enough, yeah.
I mean, I think it's basically accepted that he's going to play long enough to break his record. So that was awesome because some people were able to capitalize on that play, but more than just capitalizing on collectible, they were able to be ahead of the curve and take a look at the LeBron market in general. I'm really excited for my play. My play's in the NFL today. Before I get into that,
I wonder if we have the same play.
I think it's a guy that's pretty underrated. This guy is the NFL version of Trae Young, in my opinion. Right? It's that whole Trae Young effect.
That's definitely not the same guy. My guy is the NFL version of, let's say, it's going to take me a while to come up with a comparison. That's how deep in the weeds I went with my play today. But I'm trying to think what a good comparison would be. I'll think of it. Look at you, man. You're drinking out fancy pants glasses.
This might be my one vacation day of the year. We went down the shore, spend the day with my sister's boyfriend's family, good people, enjoying some good conversation about investing and things like that. It's pretty good, man. I really can't complain. But it's funny, Cage. We our YouTube channel is growing. We get a few hundred listens easily every single day, and there's this one guy who comments, Chenault. Laviska Shenault. Every single time he comments Laviska Shenault. I don't know why, but I think he thinks that's hilarious.
We've given that play. I hope it turns out. Maybe he's making sure nobody forgets that we gave that as a play in case he turns out to be a bust. I don't know. We shall see. But yeah, man, NFL. Listen, it makes sense over both NFL plays. I mean, a lot of fantasy drafts are going on. I think one of our own leagues is being drafted tonight. My draft is tomorrow, I think. I haven't done any research for that, so that's just going to be hilarious when Jamarcus Russell gets taken. We'll figure it all out. So it's on people's minds. The season starts on Thursday. I saw a ridiculous DraftKings commercial before about how you get your first bet for free. You just have to bet that the Bucks don't lose by 74 points. You get Bucks plus 74. Because I think that's the biggest blowout ever in NFL was 73 points. So as long as the Bucks don't lose by 74, you win your bet. But of course, you get paid, I'm sure, in site credit and stuff. But it's on everybody's mind. It's in the conscience, right? It's on TV. There's advertisements for it. So we're all kind of thinking football. Normally, what we say though is don't think football, think basketball now, or think something else when everybody else is thinking football. But my play is a little different. It's not. It's not by Josh Allen or Justin Herbert. So. Are you excited for football, man? I mean, when you rank sports, where do you put them? Like basketball, football, soccer, baseball? Where's it go in your rankings?
Football opening week is the most exciting week of the year. Weeks 2 through 4 are kind of boring, and then NFL playoffs are super fun. That's how I would rank it.
So what about 5 through 17?
Here's my thing with football. I love football. I love football Sunday. It's kind of like religion in America, right? But there's so many commercials, man. So it's you're not actually watching the game. It's more like, hey, can I binge and just eat a lot of food?
You just got to watch the Red Zone. Red Zone channel has no commercials. It's the greatest invention ever. You just watch all football, all plays inside the 20. You don't get to watch the whole game. So if you're fantasy and you're watching your running back, you might want to just watch your
Who's your Super Bowl prediction this year, Cage? Give us. Everyone's picking Chiefs Bucks. Who's your prediction?
I mean, it's hard to not say Chiefs Bucks. It really is. They are the two best teams. But I think the Chiefs collapse this year. I think the Chiefs fall apart. I think we get a surprise another MVP season out of Lamar Jackson.
I think
My
so
little
too.
surprise, a little
Think so,
surprise
too.
play right there. And I think the Ravens are able to do enough to to knock off Kansas City where it matters. They may lose to them twice, or they may lose to them,
Yep.
during the regular season. But I think they figure them out, and maybe in the championship game or round before, they're able to take out Kansas City and then hit the Super Bowl. That Ravens team
Football,
just they go ahead.
football might be the hardest sport. They just keep going, winning season after winning season after winning season. Like, you get beat up. The Chiefs have basically played 4 seasons in the time that everyone else has played 3, with their championship games and all that stuff. So I totally agree with you on that.
Yeah, I mean, they played a lot. They've had a lot of good luck. They haven't really had too many injuries, and where they have had injuries, they've had people really step up and fill those holes. Which is a testament to the organization, I think. Take it from where it comes from, right? I know there's a lot of Mahomes lovers out there. I'm a Raider fan, so remember when I say the Chiefs aren't going to win, there is an internal bias there. I am a fan of one of their rivals, although the Raiders, sort of saying the Raiders are a rival of the Chiefs for the last 5 or 10 years is like saying that, the elephant's afraid of the fly. So it's not exactly somebody that the Chiefs really care about. The Raiders
Elephant's afraid of the mouse, Cage.
I think that's a myth.
It's not a
I was
myth.
going to say,
Real.
I think it's a myth. I mean, I watched Dumbo, man. The mouse was like the best friend of the elephant. So to me, it's a myth. If Disney says so, then I got to believe it. So, and on the other side, it's hard to go against Brady, man. Like, it's amazing how he came in and did what he did. And basically was like, you know what, here is the end of the is it Brady or is it Belichick debate. It is he's just going to go to another team and just win a Super Bowl his first year there. That's very hard to repeat. It's very difficult in the NFL to repeat as a Super Bowl champ. I just think though that the Bucs are kind of the cream of the NFC. The Green Bay Packers situation is interesting with what went on with Rodgers. The Saints are not going to be as good because they don't have Breeze anymore. So a lot of those, other teams that would be the chic picks going into, the preseason here for, going into week 1 for the NFC, they're kind of not there. They're not settled. I'm not ready to, talk about like a Vikings team or a Bears team or, any of these other Eagles teams that all have, young quarterbacks, unproven quarterbacks. Even Rams. I mean, Matthew Stafford may be considered a Hall of Fame quarterback by some, but he's not a Super Bowl winning quarterback to me. He just doesn't have what it takes to get there.
Is this the best team he's ever played on, or is the teams with Calvin Johnson and maybe better? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm a huge Calvin Johnson fan. That was another one of those, like the Raiders could have had him and, really messed that one up and, drafted Jamarcus Russell instead. And, it's just, I followed his career and, you want to talk about being able to just throw the ball up and that guy will go get it. So, I think that has a lot to do with a lot of Stafford's numbers. There are guys who you look at and say, okay, this is a guy who can take us there. And there are guys you look at and say, okay, he's a serviceable NFL quarterback. Stafford falls into the latter for me. He's not the guy who's going to take you there. He's not the guy who's going to get the job done. I mean, people surprised me. Eli Manning didn't look like the guy who would get the job done. And he was basically a 500 quarterback for his career. But when he had a chance to go, he went. You know what I mean? So
that's an unsolved mystery of the NFL, Cage. Those 2 Super Bowl wins might go down in history as the most improbable wins ever. That Mario Manningham catch.
Joe Namath might have something to say about that.
Yeah, no one watched football back then, Cage. That's when you were growing up.
I don't know. You just gave a Johnny Unitas play. That's exactly the time he was playing. So, you know what I mean? It's hopefully somebody was
watching. That was yesterday, Cage. Today's a different day.
Today I have a hat on. By the way, guys, you have to check out this episode on YouTube today. I don't know what this dude's thinking. He's got like the A-Rod late 80s, early 90s, reflective blue sunglasses on. He's got the bucket hat going on. It's like he's going to go crabbing. It's interesting what he's got going down right now. The vibe he's throwing down on the Jersey Shore. But, all right, so what's your play, man? I mean, I didn't really give a Super Bowl prediction. I think, the AFC is the more fun one, right? Tennessee, I love Derrick Henry, man. When it comes down to crunch time, that guy is a beast. I would ride him. Please don't turn that into a meme. But yeah, I mean, if I were fantasy guys, that's somebody who I'd be banking on. It's a good defense and a running game. It could take you pretty far. The NFC, I got to go Tampa Bay just until somebody else does something. I was a fan of Dallas last year just because the division was terrible. Dak got hurt. We'll see what he does, coming back with the team they've built around him. But yeah, I mean, until somebody else, shows something, I think it's Tampa Bay's, year again. At least to get to the Super Bowl from the NFC.
Let me talk a little bit here. So here's what I'm thinking. We saw last year. Oh, you muted yourself. Cage went on.
You said let me talk for a second. So I want to make sure I can't interrupt you. And then 10 seconds after you say let me talk for a second, you basically begged me to talk. So
I'm really excited about not necessarily. Well, I want this to be discourse. I don't want this to be just me talking. But that was funny. So Cage. The Trae Young effect. We talked about the Trae Young effect last year. There's someone in the NFL that fits that bill, that fits the same pattern, but he had kind of a similar Trae Young year where there was a ton of expectations. He underperformed, and then he's going into his third year, and I think people are just completely sleeping on this guy. And I'm curious, what will happen to Trae Young's cards if they repeat next season? If he does the same type of output that he did this season, next season?
Is this Kyler Murray? Are you going Kyler?
It's exactly Kyler Murray. That's exactly what.
It's a good comparison. That's why
it's a good comparison. He has so much expectations. We have these grandiose plans for these players, and they could never meet those expectations. But then after a season happens, you run through these cycles, baseball, basketball, you're out of sight, out of mind. But the guy's improving. And I'm curious if you're buying into a Kyler Murray cards, whether that's the silver or the base, at basically near bottom prices. Now he has no expectations, but he has all the experience and the upside still baked in. So you're absolutely right. To me, Trae Young is the NBA comparison of Kyler Murray. And I think heading into the season, there is no player that stands or more to gain with very little to lose. Obviously, you have a season-ending injury or just completely a terrible performance. But he has such little downside with such tremendous upside. If I was looking at Kyler like a stock, forget his name, forget his game and all that. Like running quarterbacks don't work, all that stuff that kind of we kind of perpetuate. To me, Kyler Murray seems like a great investment into someone who has a tremendous amount of upside, very little downside.
What's your exit this season? Couple games in, 2 games in, quarter of the way through the season. What are you trying to do? Because, whether or not I would agree with this play is going to depend on, I'd have to look at the schedule and see whether or not he's got a shot to be like 6-1 or something like that. But this is not somebody who I'm holding long term, right? You brought up a great topic, one of our questions. I'm going to keep going back to it from Coffee with Cage on Saturday over the weekend. And it was, who's a GOAT that's going to be forgotten. Now, Kyler Murray's not a GOAT, but Kyler Murray's in that list of quarterbacks that is potentially taking the mantle away from, Brady and Rodgers and Breeze and Manning and these guys who were the quarterbacks of the last decade. He's in there, but maybe he's towards the bottom of the list that includes, Russell Wilson, who's been doing it for a while, and new ones, Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence this year and Trey Lance and Justin Fields and Jalen Hurts, and you got guys who've been in the league a little longer, right? Like your Matthew Stafford guy or your Jared Goff, or these guys are all kind of in that same, who's going to take the next step up. But ultimately, I don't think it matters. You know what I mean? When the decade's best is written, right? You tell me who are the best quarterbacks of the last decade?
Brady. Rodgers, Mahomes.
Who else? Brady's, Rodgers, Mahomes. Perfect. So everybody forgets that Russell Wilson was a Super Bowl winning quarterback who's got amazing stats and just wins. Why? Because he's a step below and he is a, quote, GOAT. He is one of the guys who's one of the best in his game stat-wise and a guy who's a character guy you'd build a franchise around. But in 10 years, no one's going to care. And he won a Super Bowl. So Kyler Murray, as a long-term play for me, his ceiling is Russell Wilson. Ceiling is Russell Wilson, a great player for a decade who wins the Super Bowl and, you know, is undersized, you name it. That's a ceiling. And in a decade, no one's going to care about Russell Wilson. And a little after that, no one's going to care about Kyler Murray. That said, if your play is his prices are so deflated right now, they're so low that from a risk-reward standpoint, if he starts off the season 2-4, they're going to stay where they are. But if he starts off the season 4-2 or 5-1 or something like that, and he's putting up stats, the car could double. So for risk reward, I like it, as long as you have an exit.
So my exit isn't actually, you know, sometimes we talk like 2 weeks in, 4 weeks in, he has an easy schedule, all that stuff. My exit is the strategy of create, kind of like even maybe write this down. Like let's say you get into his prison base at 350. Best case scenario is this card goes to 1,000. Middle case, it goes to 800. You know, your lower tier is 600. I would create this kind of like spectrum and let the market show you when to exit, not necessarily the schedule. But I'm curious, like before we even talk a little bit more about Kyler, do you think Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers has had a better career?
Rodgers, multiple MVPs, very difficult.
Rodgers?
Yeah, he's won the Super Bowl and he has multiple MVPs.
Because Russell Wilson, you're absolutely right. He doesn't get enough credit for how good he is. He really doesn't. Like, I can't believe I didn't even mention him in my like top quarterbacks in the last decade.
Did that on purpose. Did it on purpose.
He's very much incredible. But no, for me, Kyler is someone who has potential to double. His car just has potential to double. I think his cars are deflated. I think.
And guys, don't get me wrong. If it's so high, if it stays that it's the same 350 or 400, or stays where it is where you are, and you can't sell it this year. Next year he could do well. Next year they could put another player on his team. You have another running back or something like that, right? It's not you're not asking people to invest thousands of dollars here in a rookie card. It's so beat up that there are multiple exits for the card. I like it from a risk reward standpoint. I do.
It's something I've been looking a lot about. I talked about this with BGS and SGC yesterday. It's looking at assets that have been deflated, maybe not necessarily based on their own performance, but based on more of these outlandish expectations we've had in the market, right? If we looked at the last year, there were peak, like, that chart of like how we do the cycles, mania, right? Last year was a lot of mania. And with mania comes this like period of like, wow, he let me down. But he let me down based on my insane expectations, not based on just what a player in his second year should do. And the same thing goes to like BGS and SGC. Like, as much as I don't like BGS, and I maybe like SGC and HGA a lot more for modern plays, these companies may be at or near their peaks when it comes to player performance in this scenario, where BGS has been beat down to a pulp. So I always kind of try to look at my investment strategy from a different angle to see, am I missing something? Am I looking at the market wrong? And that's what I did with the Kyler Murray. I'm not a big Kyler Murray fan. I understand all of the issues that come with running quarterback. If I were to pick a best running quarterback in the league, to me, it's easily Russell Wilson, then Lamar Jackson, then probably Kyler Murray. Even though I don't even know, like Patrick Mahomes is kind of a mobile quarterback, even though it doesn't run. But to me, Kyler Murray's card prices have just been beaten down so much. I think he has so much upside. He's going to be in a lot of really interesting competitive games. I think his cards are worth a look. I really do believe that.
I think it's great. So you said it's about $350 the card?
$350. I'll take a look as you're giving me your play because I'm on my phone today. So it's if I jump off.
Yeah, you're living my life. So my play is $250. So I want to give people a nice little bargain play, right? And my play is $250. Maybe even cheaper if you like, but not $250 as in $250. My play is $250 as in $2.50. And it's a quick hitter. And it's something that I view as a real low risk play for the people who get to listen to us quickly, people who have their notifications on, people who watch this on YouTube quick, people who listen to us here. Because news dropped today, and for $2.50 you can get this guy his Topps rookie card from 2011 on StarStock. Literally $2.50. Took some pictures of it. I didn't buy it. I'm not buying it because I don't want to get ahead of you guys. There's like 80 something of them available. If you want to spend a little more money, you can go with the chromes, and you can go with the parallels. But I'm telling you guys to go on StarStock as soon as you hear this and buy your 2011 Topps Tyrod Taylor cards because he was announced as the starting quarterback for Week 1 for the Texans. and you're going to give yourself a bunch of exits on this because the $2.50, or let's say you pay $2.60, $2.70 as people scoop up the lower price ones. This is one where before the game, maybe the day before the game, the morning of the game, people are going to go on Star Stock. They're going to be looking for these cards. They're going to be like, all right, well, what if Tyrod Taylor, what if he has a huge game? What if he forces, playing time for the rest of the season, and he's playing with a good team, and, he becomes somebody who's relevant. He's done it before. He's been a starter in this league many times before. Now, I'm not telling you he's turning into Kyler Murray or Tom Brady or anything like that. As a matter of fact, the first thing I'll tell you is if you buy it today for $2.50 on Labor Day weekend on a holiday Monday when no one else is giving you this play because the news just dropped and no one even knows about it because they're either eating their Jewish New Year dinner or they're eating their Labor Day barbecue, whatever it may be, then you can scoop it first, and it's gonna be $3, $4, $5 before game time. You could probably buy a bunch of these, put them in a Star Stock account at $2.50 and sell them for more money before he even sets foot on the field on Sunday. So it's just one of those quickie plays. If you want to gamble on him, I mean, I've talked about Tyrod Taylor on this show before. I think he's a good quarterback, more than a serviceable backup. I think he's one of those guys that a team gets when they want to, have somebody who's not going to miss a beat. And he can run the offense. Now, he's not as talented as Deshaun Watson. There may not be a person in the league who is, an actual talent level, right? Yep. Athletic ability level. But he's not, he's not, he's not a statue back there either. And he definitely knows the offense. He can run the same offense. He can run all of the plays they are running. And I think he's going to come out and actually impress some people. A lot of times this happens, it might be his last hurrah in the league, right? So
1,000%.
He's going to go out there and really be playing for his dinner. And that team, they throw the ball. You've seen Deshaun Watson put up some really crazy stats. He's going to be throwing the ball. He's going to be putting up numbers. He's going to be fantasy relevant if you haven't drafted your team yet, at least for this week, if you're looking like daily or weekly fantasy lineups. And, without getting into the Deshaun Watson situation, which I hope resolves itself, I mean, he may get traded. Who knows what winds up, ending up happening with him. But for right now, it's Tyrod Taylor's job. It was announced he's going to be starting week 1. And I think that, if you're ahead of that news, there is money to be made here. You can get in the Star Stock Bs for under $1 if you wanted to. Because even those, I think, will go ahead.
He also has experience running the offense of a shitty team. I think that's important, right? Like, there's some quarterbacks that if they have a terrible offensive line, if they have a terrible roster, they can't really do much. I think Tyrod Taylor has had experience running some less than stellar offenses and kind of get some results out of them with the Bills. I don't think this Houston team's interesting, right? Like on paper, everyone's writing them off. They're like an 0-16 team. It's going to be interesting, right? Like it typically doesn't play out like that. So,
no, and you were talking about expectations. I mean, this guy's coming in with no expectations. That team's coming in with no expectations. Like you said, people are putting them in the bottom of the league. So, anything he does is a good thing. And I'm telling you, you can probably buy this now and sell it before game time for more money. That's why I give Star Stock. I mean, if you want to go eBay, you want to go Facebook, you want to go, elsewhere, there's plenty of places, Mercari, ComC, there's plenty of places to buy this stuff. Star Stock, you can probably buy it right now when you hear this episode on Monday and sell it on Thursday or Friday for more than what you're paying for it now and never have to see the card. So that's why I lean towards Star Stock, because if you wanted to make that quick flip on it, I think that would give you the opportunity to. And I did look it up, and there are plenty available.
You having fun, buddy?
Of course. I mean, where else do I get to tell people to buy Tyrod Taylor cards? Come on now, and look at this hat. What does it say on the hat?
I know I'm pretty ridiculous today, but it's a holiday. I'm going back to Mexico tomorrow. So.
But what does it say? What does it say?
Arts and crafts. This is Philly business. So
arts and crafts.
Pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
It's a friend of a friend who buys up different properties in the Philadelphia area in the city, and he hires local artists to do a mural on one of the kind of like the walls outside. His goal is to create creative artistic districts in the city. So one of them is Fairmount area in Philadelphia. If any of you guys are from Philly.
Nice. Philly art. the art that comes to Philly for me is the artistry that goes into a meat and cheese sandwich. That's the only art I need.
Like a cheesesteak from Pat's. Have you been to Pat's and Gino's?
I've been, and I've also eaten, you're kind of cheating, but I've eaten the cheesesteaks at the stadium. They have their little annexes there. They have their little, what is it, Tony Luke's?
Yep,
I think is there. So
you were at Citizens Bank Park when we beat you guys in the World Series.
No. First of all, you didn't beat us in the World Series, but no, I was there. Oh man, when was I there? We're going back pretty far. Maybe 2009, I think was the last time I was there. I saw them play the Dodgers. So I think it was the year you guys were very good.
Roy Halladay?
You were very good that year. I think you beat the Dodgers in the NLCS and then wound up losing to the Yankees in the World Series. So I did get to see a regular season game. It was a good time. I think I've told this story, but I agreed that I would eat a cheesesteak every inning that I was there. And my wife said at 7 innings we were done because she was not going to ride in the car home with me after 2 more cheesesteaks.
You ate 7 cheesesteaks?
I did. 7 cheesesteaks and 7 innings.
You slept fine all night?
I probably sweat while I was sleeping, but I did sleep that night, yeah. I had 7 cheesesteaks.
Joe Namath, Joe
It was a lot
Chestnut.
of money, too.
Who was your hero? You had to pick one of these two. Joey Chestnut.
Joey Chestnut. I mean, I don't care less about the Jets. Sorry, Gary. I can care less about the Jets. I mean, Joe Namath's pretty cool. He could rock a fur coat, but if I have to pick between those two, it's Joey Chestnut.
Joe Namath, Joe Chestnut. Easily Joey Chestnut.
Yeah, between those two, definitely.
Wow.
I mean, you could probably come up with some closer, competition. But between those two,
was Namath a big deal? Like I feel like Namath isn't that big a deal in culture, but back then it was Broadway Joe. He was like the biggest deal ever. What's the deal with that?
Yeah, I think it was like the culture. It was like the Brett Meany dude. Are you kidding me? Neither did I. I mean, come on now. He was before my time also. But yeah, I mean, he was like the flashy kind of guy. He was, and brash, and we made predictions and backed them up, and he was like the new style QB. This was, you were coming off of. You saw Johnny Unitas. I mean, that was like military haircut. He had like a flat top Forrest Gump kind of look to him, and here's Joe Namath literally, wearing a fur coat and, bringing California style to the game, and basically saying, I'm going to win this Super Bowl III. They're characters, right? These guys were characters, but I don't know much about Namath either. I mean, he was no longer playing when I watched. I might have been alive when he was playing, but not coherent enough to watch football. The first Jet quarterback I remember, his name was Richard Todd, and he was pretty terrible. Yeah, Richard Todd. But this is what it is. I mean, Namath played Super Bowl III. The first Super Bowl I remember watching, Super Bowl 18. So a little later in life.
Guys, tomorrow I'm back in Mexico, so we're back to your regularly scheduled programming. I got to be honest, I'm a creature of habit. I'm a man of routine. So these last few weeks, I've definitely felt a little bit off kind of my routine. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'll tell you, man, Cage, the comments on YouTube, the comments on Instagram, all the feedback, we've been getting good positive feedback. So I can't wait to just be back and get rolling, because I'm really excited for the rest of the year. And I'm very optimistic. I'm also curious. What is crypto going to do? What are cards going to do? What are NFTs going to do as this year winds down? This year has been, 2020 was crazy, but I think 2021 has been equally interesting for sports cards, for crypto and NFTs. But we're only heading into that fourth quarter. And I got to tell you, I'm optimistic. I'm not sure what's going to happen. I don't know if you have any projections. I will say if there's one thing that an observation that's stuck out to me, I wouldn't expect any writing on the wall, any sign that something might happen, whether that's good or bad. I think we're going to be caught off guard. I really do. I think we're going to be caught off guard. I don't know
bad way.
I think it go bad or good. I'm not sure. I think we could be more
Really? So
stimulus,
it's either
more
going to
money.
go bad or good. It's either going to go bad or good. That's the prediction going into
But
the
like
fourth
this.
quarter.
But like,
You heard it here,
well,
folks.
what I mean is like,
it's either going to go good or it's going to go bad. Thank you, Andrew.
that's why they pay me the big bucks.
Punxsutawney Phil here.
Who's that?
Oh, that's the name of the groundhog, dude. The prognosticator of prognosticators. No.
And if
no.
he sees a shadow, it's like 6 more weeks of winter.
Exactly. I mean, they use him to predict, just like you are predicting. It's either going to be good or it's going to be bad. It's spectacular predicting. I'm putting you on Punxsutawney Phil's level.
I think it's going to be shocking. I think we're going to see. I think we're going to either hear like there's another stimulus, there's another printing session, or anything like that, or I just think there's going to be something that happens that catches us off guard. That's the way I put it.
Whenever I am asked for a prediction, my answer is always the same. When he says, "Do you have any predictions?" I look right at the camera and I say, "Pain." Now, I'm going to leave that one out there for you guys on YouTube. You can comment. I want to know what movie it's from. You got any predictions for Pain? Oh, no, very close. My co-host here almost got it.
Rocky
very
14. Close. Rocky 14.
You have the right movie franchise. You just had the wrong number. You went Drago instead of Clubber Lang. Clubber Lang was 3. That was Clubber Lang 3. Predictions. Pain.
Fast and the Furious 44.
For Rocky 5,000. So one last thing, we'll put out some videos on this on our own Instagram stuff. Discord is coming, folks, by popular demand. We asked for it. We asked about it on Coffee with Cage, and you guys have made it very, very clear that you'd like some interaction between all of the groups, that Luca Nation is thousands strong, and yet you only get interaction in the Instagram groups with another 28 or 29 folks in each one of them. You want some overlapping. Discord will allow us to do that and allow us to hop on really quick and send out a message to everyone, ping you guys all, let you know what's going on. And we got some fun stuff coming up before we get to that fourth quarter, and we'll be able to use Discord to kind of keep you guys posted about what's going on in the world of Luca Nation. So
believe you
be on the
me,
lookout
guys.
for that.
If it was up to me, I would keep it all on Instagram. Discord is a whole world for me to learn, but when the community asks for something, I feel obliged to do it. So we're moving to Discord. I think it's going to be a win-win. I really believe it's going to be an incredible benefit for the community. It's going to allow you guys to interact and engage with each other. It's some work. It's some work for me, but I'm up for the challenge.
Boom. Well, I like giving you work.